Well, we talk privately. I worked for a small animal vet and a large animal vet in high school into college. I worked overall 4 years total. They knew then, tell people, don't give your kids vaccines. We don't give them to the dogs or they get sick. It's the vets, you were saying earlier, that are really aware of this.
Yeah, the vets have been onto it for a long time. No multiple vaccines, spread them out, get thimerosal out of vaccines, and don't vaccinate if it's unnecessary. This isn't just some...
Because they could see it in something with a shorter life cycle. They could see it in a dog or a cat.
Yeah, and because there's less of a pressure on them from public health officials and the pharmaceutical industry reps who visit and bribe, that there's less pressure on them to keep giving these vaccines. It's become so much of an industry now in pediatrics and mainstream medicine that it's almost it's insidious and it is pervasive, and it's something we've got to stand back from and take very, very seriously.
Austin Media Channel. I keep saying Austin because we're in Austin. Autism Media Channel on YouTube. AutismMediaChannel.com is the website, but the best place is YouTube. Autism Media Channel on YouTube. Dr. Andrew Wakefield's our guest, investigative journalist, is joining us. John Rappoport straight ahead. But we'll also talk about the persecution of whistleblowers that try to tell the truth. But what happens when more and more whistleblowers come out? The system collapses. Played that liner, my buddy Mike Judge, King of the Hill, Beavis and Butthead creator. Extract, Idiocracy, Silicon Valley. It's funny, I didn't tell you guys to air that. You probably don't even know. I won't give the inside baseball because some of it's private. That Mike has a child he believes damaged by vaccines. That's one reason he listens to the show. So we're so touched by vaccines and autism that it is just so epic that it even affected somebody like Mike Judge, who we just played an intro with. It's incredible. We have investigative journalist John Rappoport joining us. But you were talking during the break, Dr. Wakefeild, who I wouldn't call you a whistleblower. You did a study. You showed the gut-brain connection. They came after you. They put a hoax out saying you were a liar. You sued them. That's in court right now. I mean, they may sue me saying the sky isn't blue tomorrow at high noon. I mean, it's just incredible how many whistleblowers, like I said, the NSA is not spying on you. Now it's all admitted. Or we don't fund Al-Qaeda. Now it's all admitted. Or the border's not wide open. Now it's all admitted. They teach in public school in this country 2 + 2 equals 5. Well, no, it equals 4. I agree with you. There's a major reckoning coming. Other points about the political response to this, what we do now as more whistleblowers in the CDC go public saying we were ordered to cover up. This is causing autism.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen, Alex. I think that as now Dr. Thompson's come out, now he's admitted in a release from his lawyer that they did in fact hide significant findings and change their protocol to effectively get rid of those findings, that we're going to see more and more people coming forward and saying, I was told to do this. As part of that corporate infrastructure, you know, it's not my fault, it's his fault, it's their fault, they told me what to do. We're going to see more and more of that. So they can't put any more fingers in the dam and stop it leaking. It is really coming apart. So what needs to happen? The several things needs to happen. Pediatrics, the journal that published this fraudulent paper in 2004, need to retract that paper.
Normally they would respond immediately. Because I watch the news every day, right? This would normally be a huge scandal. They would respond, deny, defend, nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
The silence tells a lot.
Yeah, and they were caught with their pants down, basically. They did not see this coming, and now they're scrambling and they're contradicting themselves. They're furthering the lies. And Sharyl Attkisson, a CBS reporter, ex-CBS reporter, Emmy-winning investigative journalist, absolutely outstanding job.
Amazing.
On this, picking it apart and finding out where the weak points are. And
that's the great news. All these serious journalists from the mainstream are leaving so they can tell the truth.
Yeah, where she was restricted from doing that, in her own words. While working at CBS, she can now get out there and tell the story that needs to be told. So what needs to happen? That paper needs to be retracted from Pediatrics, the journal. The editor at the moment is resisting that. He says that he's been in touch with the authors and they've said, oh, no, it's okay. So she said to him, have you been in touch with Dr. Thompson? Silence. She repeated in writing. So the fact that you're satisfied with this means that you've been in touch with Dr. Thompson and he's okayed it. Silence. No, they have not been in touch with Dr. Thompson, and in fact haven't been in the last 10 years. They have not gone to the heart of the matter. They've not talked to the man who had his finger on the numbers.
The CDC statistician, just ignore that.
Yeah, so they've ignored him. What we need to do now is to have Dr. Thompson himself retract his name from that paper, and then it cannot stand. We need a political response. We need people to help.
But is not the silence, they're not even attacking, show how weak they are?
Yeah, I think they're scrambling for, you know, for all kinds of excuses for what he meant, what he said, what actually it means. But for mainly it's silence. As you say, there's a radio silence on this because they don't know quite how to deal with it.
But as you said, the truth is there's an army of brain-damaged children and parents that are angry out there. There's the law of numbers, and just of everything shows they will end up being brought to justice.
Yeah, I think there was a University of Chicago study that asked the question of parents, do you believe that doctors know that vaccines cause autism and are involved in a cover-up? 20% just said right out of the gate, yes, they do. The important number, Alex, is 36% said, don't know. In other words, they haven't bought in to the propaganda. They haven't bought in to what's being put out there by mainstream media. They don't know. And these are the thinking, reading, talking parents, the educated parents who are questioning this. And what will happen now, I believe, is that 36% or a major part of it will say, wow, these guys were right all along. There's a problem. And so we're going to see a huge shift in people's belief systems.
I want to go to John Rappoport and get his questions and comments and your take on it, Dr. Wakefeild, but I'm going to say this again. People think a quarterback that throws a touchdown's a hero, or some guy that paints a beautiful painting, whatever. People that tell the truth, put their careers on the line, and stand up for human justice and liberty are my heroes. You are a hero. Thank you so much for what you've done to humanity. I just am almost speechless to even be here with you and to see you vindicated like this. It just gives me faith in humanity. We're going to turn the corner on this and hopefully save these children out there that are being lined up and given this concoction that these companies come up with. So thank you, Dr. Wakefeild.
Alex, you're very kind. I'm just a guy doing a job.
No, I know. You're keeping your soul, doing the right thing. But it's just that in a world of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act, to quote George Orwell.
Well, I put my faith in the parents' story. They know what happened to their child. They weren't anti-vaccine. They saw it happen, and I trust their instincts. Yeah,
like the rattlesnake bit me and I got sick. I took the shot, I got sick. You get that 5,000 times, something's going on. The truck ran over me and I had broken bones. I jumped off the cliff and broke my legs. I smoked cigarettes and got lung cancer. I mean, at a certain point, there's a causal connection here.
Yeah.
We're going to break in about 3-4 minutes, but I want to bring John Rappoport in and for the next segment. John, this has been an incredible broadcast tonight. I'm getting all these tweets and comments, people calling me. This is really touching people's soul. Thank God. What do you think as an investigative journalist who for 2 decades has been trying to expose this?
Well, we got an opportunity here, Alex. This is a big-time opportunity. We've got a whistleblower from the inside who's gone on the record, written statement, defrauding the public, concealing the truth, hiding the connection between the MMR vaccine and autism. Right out there in the open. We broke the protocol, we omitted vital data. So now this guy Thompson has opened the door to other whistleblowers who could come forward. And it's really going to be the online journalists who are going to provide cover and protection for these people. It's not the major media, because we're looking at a blackout there completely. They're hoping the whole thing goes away. I mean, major media people are talking with the CDC. They've been talking with the CDC. What do we do? What do you want us to do? How should we respond? Well, we'll just stay silent. Don't say anything, because hopefully this whole thing will blow over. Thompson will not talk to reporters, as he said he was not going to. And eventually, we'll have 16 new scandals and stories in other areas, and people forget all about this. Well, that's not going to happen. So it's up to us, people who write online, to keep this story alive and to provide protection and cover for future whistleblowers who are thinking now, well, maybe it's time I come out too and say, mercury causes autism. You know, we've all known it for the last 20 years, and I'm stepping forward to say that all those studies were frauds too, which they were.
That's right.
I pointed this out in writing. I mean, this is no secret. You don't even have to find omitted data. All you have to do is look at the way these studies were constructed. Like there's famous Verstraeten study that was, published 3 different ways before they finally completely scrubbed out any connection between mercury and autism.
It's like the aspartame study. It was killing the monkeys they gave it to, so they just took the ones that lived and excised the ones that died. I mean, it's a total joke. Here's the deal. We got brain damaged kids coming out of our ears here. We better face this and deal with it so more kids don't get hurt. All of us have a responsibility. Look, the truth is, if they can't abort a kid before they're born, they want to abort them after they're born. That's the eugenics angle. That's the big sick end of this, and that's why this is happening. We'll be back with John Rappoport and Dr. Andrew Wakefeild. Check out the YouTube channel, Autism Media Channel, on YouTube. Dr. Andrew Wakefeild is here with me. Final segment. John Rappoport, investigative journalist, NoMoreFakeNews.com, Infowars.com, and PrisonPlanet.com are the big mothership websites. We'll be back tomorrow, Lord willing, 11 a.m. Central, live. They've given anthrax shots to the troops that killed a bunch of them. Mainstream news, they stopped those. Smallpox shots, cancer viruses, and polio vaccines. I mean, this is all part of the medical history. So we don't have to just sit here passively and go along with this when the media says every year it's the law, take shots to go to school. It's not that we're even against the vaccines. It's that the way it's being done is a nightmare. The answer is, why is it being covered up? Dr. Wakefeild, you had one other point to make before John Rappoport continued with how big an issue this is, that more and more whistleblowers that are senior coming out saying we were ordered to cover this up. This is huge. You had a point about the federal response, what that should be.
Yeah, I think the first thing to say is that the problem is not the vaccines, as you point out. It's the vaccine policymakers, and that's what this whistleblower episode has taught us. It's the policymakers who are causing the problems. What we have to have now is oversight, and we'll be releasing a video next week where the whistleblower himself urges Congress to take action. He demands that Congress take this by the horns and sort it out. They can have a congressional hearing of the Oversight Committee within a week of finding a few vials of old smallpox in a cupboard at the FDA. Why can't they? This is so much more important, so much more serious, has so many more implications.
How many people out there are going to have a grandson or granddaughter that ends up getting brain damage? They're at your house 1 week, a year and a half old, happy. Next week, they're in diapers for the rest of their life. Don't ignore this. This is the big issue. This is the scourge. John Rappoport, investigative journalist, what's at the bottom of the rabbit hole? Why is the system covering this up? Can they get away with it? Or do they know that once this comes out, their whole house of cards will fall?
Oh, they know, Alex. I mean, this is the cornerstone. This is the fallback position, vaccines. This is the great, cure-all. This is where doctors can point to, oh, well, we ended so much disease through vaccines and so forth. And the evidence is there that vaccines had nothing to do with that. What had to do with that is better nutrition, better sanitation, the rise of the middle class, etc.
Exactly. I've seen those graphs from Australia to the U.S. Until the 30s and 40s, it's going down infectious disease because of better hygiene. Then vaccines come in, it actually goes up a little, but not compared to what it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. So their entire operation across the board as the medical cartel is wobbling on this issue of vaccines. And if they admit more than just a temporary, lack of attention to something in a particular study, I mean, if they were to come out and tell the whole story, the whole house of cards would collapse. So they have to do everything in their power to protect against that happening. And now we have a window of opportunity, which we must not let pass, to expose the entire show, to expose all of it, the chemicals in the vaccines, the live germs in the vaccines, the germs that were put into the vaccines that didn't belong there in the first place.
The fungus, the viral simulants, it's a nightmare.
You know, it's like a doctor is saying to a mother, okay, so your child is going to be born, and then in the first day of birth, here's what we're going to do. We're going to inject your baby with toxic chemicals, including mercury or possibly aluminum, and then we're also going to put germs in there, and then there will be other germs that got in there, you know, somehow, and we're going to inject
dead hepatitis, as if your child's not having sex or using drugs.